So we'll start now with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So last week we started with the reading chapter 1, which is called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which is basically Arjuna is having some doubts, and Prabhupada translates that as observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So we covered till verse number 5. So the first verse is spoken by whom? Who spoke the first verse? Dhritarashtra. And he starts with a very a question which is very obvious. He's asking, what happened when my sons and sons of Pandu assembled to fight in the of Kurukshetra? But also they say that it's a Dharma Kshetra. So why he is asking that? The question is something very obvious. What happens if you serve a food on the table? Obviously you're going to eat or somebody is going to eat. So it's like the question asking this question itself is very insignificant. Some acharyas interpret that. Because he knew in his heart that his sons were not righteous, but the sons of Pandu were righteous and pious. So there is going to be a victory for them. And the main factor was Krishna is in Pandava's side. So that is the first verse which Dhritarashtra asks, and then the second verse onwards, Sanjaya starts describing the situation in the battlefield, and he starts the second verse where he is giving a description when Duryodhana is approaching his his master teacher, the Dronacharya, and he started asking the questions, or basically giving the descriptions. Basically, till verse 7, Duryodhana is going to describe the who are the fighters from the Pandavas side. So that is the flow of this section, what we are going to describe, where he is going to Sanjay is describing what Duryodhana is telling to Dronacharya about the leaders and the other situation, how the army has been arranged on the Pandavas side. So we finished till verse 5, where basically Duryodhana is naming all the powerful fighters on the Pandavas side. Any questions? This seems to be a historical thing, but if you have any doubts, we can ask, or else we can start reading from verse 6. Okay, So we'll start from verse 6.
Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta
Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta
Tamaujaschya Viryavan
Uttamojascha Viryavan
Saubhadro Draupadeyascha
Saubhadro Draupadescha
Sarva Eva Maharathaha.
Sarva Eva Maharathaha.
There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. So here, who is the son of Subhadra? Abhimanyu. And then Draupadi also had 5 sons. All of them were really formidable warriors. So here, they're all are addressed as Maharathas. So Maharathas are some people who can actually fight with 10,000 chariots at a single time, single-handedly. So there are like different gradations. The Maharatha is
So
the highest.
Maharathas can fight with 10,000
Chariots.
bowmen simultaneously and without getting defeated. Then Athirathas are the one who can fight less than 10,000 and without getting defeated. And then Yodharathas are the one who can fight with only one bowman and not lose the and doesn't lose the battle.
In the battlefield, if the Maharatha should, lesser than Maharatha should be fighting with only less than, should be attacked by less people by 10,000.
I think there should be.
There is some code of.
There are lots of rules and codes of conduct, and they actually, no matter how demonic people are, they used to follow everything. Actually, they were very, very strictly following all the rules of the battle. So I think it was because we have lots of instances, right, where they make sure that both opponents are equally equipped. Sometimes we saw that somebody's gada break, then the other person also drops his gada, and then they start wrestling with hands. So those kind of things are there. So even in Mahabharata battle also it happened, right? Somebody's chariot breaks, then I don't know if it was Karna's or somebody else's.
Because that is when he says Abhimanyu was also in the same situation. So
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so Karna was killed against some of the rules, but there are other cases where somebody's chariot breaks, so the other opposing warrior also gets down from the chariot and fights. If they are out of their arrows, they will also pick up some other weapon. They will not attack with arrows. So I think that equality is always very important. Otherwise, it won't be a fair war, right? Yeah.
Even at the end of the day, when the battle is over and the sunset is over, even in the evening, they used to meet each other, have dinners or whatever. That is all allowed on the battle. But on the battlefield, they will be showing the Kshatriya skills actually, but with the highest moral. Yeah.
The Kshatriyas at that time, they were not at all afraid of death actually. In fact, they wait actually, because the whole life they prepare for fighting. So it's a very exciting thing for them. Unlike the wars today where soldiers are terrified and
But then if you see the border, right?
Yeah.
Even in India, Kashmir border, if there is no war, the soldiers exchange the food, they will talk to each other. And the war starts.
Yeah. If you see those times, wars are like they face each other and fight.
Yeah.
Not like behind the bunkers,
You don't know who you are shooting.
You drop a bomb, come back. Not like that actually. So and if you see, the leaders are themselves fighting. Not unlike today's wars where only soldiers die, the prime minister, president, even the defense minister will stay nicely, safely in their quarters. Not like that. So kings themselves are coming to fight actually. So that's the real battle. Real war should be like that. So this was the first World War actually, not the one that we know that happened in 1914. Just explained that 64 crores of people were assembled. And they all die actually.
In 18 days.
Just in 18 days. So such fierce is the fighting. Yeah.
So here, as she said, Maharatha is the one who can fight more than 10,000 bowmen simultaneously and not get defeated. But here, if you list, they are listing some of the leaders on the Pandava side, like Uttamaja and Yudhamas, Manusya. They are not Maharathas. But Duryodhana is purposefully telling that to Drona so that he can instigate him, he can basically agitate him to fight to your best. Because there were both Bhishma and Drona, they both had equal affection for Pandavas and Kauravas. So he is purposefully telling them, lying them. See how Arjuna was introduced, Duryodhana was introduced as a diplomat. So he is purposefully playing all those diplomatic skills here, telling them, giving over descriptions on the Pandavas side, calling them everybody as Maharathas. You see the word they used, Sarva eva Maharatha. But they all were not Maharathas. And here, Draupadi has Cha. Just Cha is also refers to sons of Draupadi, and also the Cha is also meaning for others, and which is basically referring to there were other sons of Pandavas, right? Like Ghatotkacha. Ghatotkacha was born from Bhim and Hidimba.
So here even this Abhimanyu, he was very, very such a powerful fighter that it required 7 Maharathas to kill him together. Drona, Karna, Ashwathama and like many others had to combine their combined effort they had to put to kill him. Such was his power. He was just 16 years old. Yet he was so powerful. So Prabhupada actually explains that, these all were good, great Vaishnavas, right? So Vaishnavas are just by taking to spiritual life, general misconception is that people become useless, right? From material standpoint, that's what people say, right? Why are you taking to spirituality? You will not prosper materially and all. But if you see these people, these are not useless people. They are so much power and so much, valor they had, in spite of being Vaishnavas. And they are actually ready to lay down their lives for the will of Krishna. So this is a great lesson actually. Vaishnavas should be prepared to do anything for the will of Krishna. Text 7.
Any questions? Okay, text 7.
Asmakam tu vishishtaye.
Asmakam tu visishtaye.
Tani bodha dvijottama.
Tani boja dvijotma.
Nayaka mama sainyasya.
Nayaka mama sanyasya.
Sangyartham tan pravimite.
Sangyartam tam ravimite.
But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force.
Just before we go into this verse 7, till verse 6, okay? When Duryodhana is naming the Pandavas, he, on the Pandavas army, is giving the description, he never names the Pandavas themselves. They themselves were all the Maharathas. Why? Because Pandavas name, Pandavas were very famous. Like Bhima know about for his fighting skills in Gada or Arjuna. He never names them purposefully. That is another diplomatic thing that he takes actually. Though he names other insignificant, I'm not saying he takes them, but not completely actually. Okay.
So here Duryodhana is trying to, actually he is overwhelmed by seeing Pandava's army, but now he is uprising his own strengths to find solace that, we are also okay. So that's what he is trying to do now. Okay, text 8. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha.
Bhavan Bhishmascha Karmascha.
Kripascha Samitinjayaha.
Kripascha Samitinjayaha.
Ashwatthama Ashwathama Vikarnascha
Ashwathama Vikarnascha
Saumadaktistathaiva cha.
Somadastistathaiva cha.
There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta, called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in the battle. Purport: Duryodhana mentions the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana, Ashwathama is the son of Dronacharya, and Saumadatti or Bhurishrava is the son of Bahalikas. Karna is the half-brother of Arjun, as he was born of Kunti before her marriage with King Pandu. Kripacharya's twin sister is married to Dronacharya. So here,
Good.
So here, now he is addressing Dronacharya, and now he is praising everybody. They took a stock of the enemy, like any intelligent man would do. Now he is assessing his own armies, and just because their army should not be overwhelmed, he is praising everybody and he is assuring everybody that we are also equally powerful. So here he calls Bhishma, Karna, they are all very great warriors, and Ashwathama, Vikarna, and other people. Again, here Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana. Actually, he is not a very prominent figure or a prominent fighter to be afraid of, or who can defeat people in battle. But the reason why he is overemphasizing Vikarna is to make him feel special, because Vikarna was the only Kaurava who actually raised his voice against Draupadi's insult at that time. He was the only one. He never liked what Duryodhana was doing actually.
In the war, I think he was not feeling right.
No, he was.
He was also killed.
Yeah, he was.
But he stood for righteous thing.
He opposed, but he didn't show it in his actions actually. So he's often compared to Kumbhakarna actually. So Kumbhakarna also advises Ravana against going. He always said, right, you are a fool. You will be destroyed if you do that. So why don't you return Sita? But still, when Ravana asked him, he still sided with Ravana. So that's the same thing that Vikarna did actually. In his heart, he is convinced that what Duryodhana is doing is wrong, but bound by the family affection and other things, he still fought with the Duryodhana side only. So Duryodhana is unnecessarily praising him because he was afraid that he would change sides. So that was the mind of Duryodhana.
So here for Bhavan is for, I wanted to pull that verse, give me a minute, on the same verse only. So, here the Bhavan is referring to Drona, because this is a discussion between Duryodhana and Drona. So here he is naming 4 persons as ever victorious. That is Drona, Bhishma, Karna, and Kripa. Kripa, Kripa, who is Kripacharya? Right, and Kripi's sister, Kripi is the sister of Kripa, who married to Dronacharya. And from Dronacharya and
Kripacharya was the teacher of
Pandavas.
Yeah. Kripacharya and Dronacharya both were the teachers.
And we know that story how here they are bringing the name of Ashwathama. It is for Ashwathama only Dronacharya had fought. Basically, he was living a simple Brahmana's life actually. Right here, in the earlier verse, he was addressed as Dijottama, Dronacharya. Means Dvija is one who is twice born, or a Brahmana. So he was living a Brahmana's life, but just for Ashwathama, because one day they were living a very humble life, very poor. Dronacharya and Kripi, they were living very poor life. And one day when they cannot even afford a milk for Ashwathama, so some of their friends played a trick with Ashwathama by mixing some rice flour or things like that and making as a white liquid and saying that you are drinking a milk. And just for Ashwathama, he went and because Drupada and Dronacharya, they were best friends in their Gurukula, in their ashram. That time, Drupada told Dronacharya, I will give half of my kingdom to you. So that time, Dronacharya remembered and went to him. Hey, you told me this. Now I want this for my family member, for my Ashwathama. That time he got humiliated and came back because he just only wanted to ask for one cow actually. And Drupada didn't honor that request. Though he promised that he will give half of his kingdom. So why he is.
Yeah, Drupada and Dronacharya were two persons, the same guru.
Yeah.
And when they depart, they said that whenever you require any necessity or help or any stage, I will help you, he promised.
Not only that, he will pay half the kingdom he will give.
Whatever is mine is yours.
Yeah.
He promised to very extent, and when in reality when he went to him, he deceived, he insults.
Yeah.
So with that insult, he started coming and there were followers and
Right.
So by naming Ashwathama, he is specifically basically again another Duryodhana is playing his diplomatic role, trying to instigate or make Dronacharya get into that mood of fighting, making sure that he fights 100% from his side, actually from the Kauravas side. Any questions? Okay, go to the next verse.
अन्ये च बहवः शूरा
अन्ये च शुभशूरा
मदर्थे त्यक्तजीविताः
मदर्थे त्यक्तजीवितः
नानाशस्त्रप्रहरणाः
नानाशस्त्रप्रहरणाः
सर्वे युद्धविशारदाः
सर्वे युद्धविशारदः.
There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and all are experienced in the military science. Purport. As far as the others are concerned, like Jayadratha, Kritavarma and Shalya, all are determined to lay down their lives for Duryodhana's sake. In other words, it is already concluded that all of them would die in the battle of Kurukshetra for joining the party of the sinful Duryodhana. Duryodhana was, of course, confident of his victory on account of the above-mentioned combined strength of his friends.
So again, Duryodhana here is falsely trying to give him encouragement, saying that there are others. Now he's not naming them. He's saying that Anne, that others. Now he's not going to name any of the generals or leaders on his side, and he's falsely giving an encouragement for him that some of them are ready to die for his purpose. So again, his diplomatic skills are coming out in each of these verses, whatever he is speaking to Drona. And this is what we see commonly, right? Even in the people who don't have the clear understanding of the life and no conception of God, they are ready to give their lives for others' purposes, for no sake. Like we remember last year we were in India and Jayalalitha died and we were in Chennai. Many people just either died or they went for roids. The same happened when we were in.
One person committed suicide even before the news was out that she was dead. I mean, they maintained for so long that she was in critical condition, right? So some person, I think, they can take the anxiety and then.
Not only that, we were in Bangalore, and that time Rajkumar died. We saw in the television a new police person just joined, and some of their fans went and killed him. Means they killed many people, and we saw him how they were brutally beating him. It was a natural cause of death, but why are you taking someone else's life actually? But they are ready to. I'm just saying they are ready to do anything for without knowing what is their clear objective, what they are going to achieve actually. Okay, move further.
So here Duryodhana says, But Prabhupada says that Duryodhana was confident of his victory on account of the above mentioned combined strength of his friends. So again, Duryodhana has a very typical materialistic mentality. A materialist will always count on his possessions, and he's very confident that his money, his fame is going to save them, right? But actually, what saves? Only Krishna's will can save, because if Krishna doesn't desire that you live, no matter how much you have, is not going to save you. On the other hand, if you have nothing but still Krishna is with you, you will be safe always. If Krishna desires that you be protected, you will be protected. So Prabhupada often gives a very simple analogy actually, that all the opulences that you have are like zeros. Yeah. So no matter how many zeros, you are beautiful, that's a zero. You are very you are
Rich.
Very rich, that's another zero. You have a house, car, that's all zeros. How many zeros? So if you put them next to one another, it doesn't make up anything. Only when there's a one in the front, then it makes a very large value. So that one in our life should be Krishna. So if Krishna is there, then whatever we have, it is meaningful. Not just that, we have to use whatever we have in Krishna service, only then it is meaningful. Otherwise, they have no meaning, whatever we have. So Duryodhana is failing to see that. He is thinking that all his zeros are going to save him. He will be victorious in the battle because of all these things. He is thinking, I have so many Akshohinis, so many warriors on my side. But he fails to see that Krishna is on the other side. And Krishna's will is already known, right? He went as a peace messenger to the Kauravas court. He said, let this war not happen. Just give them some of the kingdom. He didn't even ask for full kingdom or half kingdom. He only asked for 5 villages. That also Duryodhana refused to give. It's very obvious what Krishna's desire is. Krishna wants Pandavas to rule. So they're very
Being a Kshatriya.
Being a Kshatriya, they have to rule something or other. So there are so many signs, but Duryodhana fails to see that. And he's still very proud that we are having. On one hand, it is also his state of mind is a very khichdi kind of thing. He is really afraid of seeing the Pandavas, and at the same time, he is trying to convince himself that no, we have a lot of strength, we will be victorious. So yeah, a typically confused person.
The next verse is he's again doing the same materialistic comparison and trying to kind of ensure Dronacharya that Kauravas are going to win actually. He's going to doing some comparison in the next verse itself.
Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam tvidam etesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. Purport: herein an estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhana. He thinks that the strength of his armed forces is immeasurable, being specifically protected by the most experienced general, grandfather Bhishma. On the other hand, the forces of the Pandavas are limited, being protected by a less experienced general, Bhima, who is like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. Duryodhana was always envious of Bhima because he knew perfectly well that if he should die at all, he would be only killed by Bhima. But at the same time, he was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhishma, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well ascertained.
So here Duryodhana is again doing a comparison on a very materialistic level. He is saying that our strength is immeasurable because who is leading them? Bhishma. And he is saying that the strength of Pandavas are limited, paryaptam, because they are led by Bhima. So again, he's only doing that comparison, like what she said earlier, and just materialistic, but not even considering that Krishna is on their side actually. He's just leaving that big one and counting only all the zeros and ensuring that he has more number of zeros than Pandavas. So that is going to ensure him a victory. So this verse, he is basically assuring that Kauravas are going to be victorious.
Actually, Bhishma is so powerful, you can't even conceive. How many of you know about the history of Bhishma?
You can go back there.
He killed, he was victorious for killing all the kings, defeating all the rulers of the kings at that time.
And bringing them under the rule of.
No one can
No one can defeat him.
He is having Ichha Maran. Whenever he wants to die, then only he will depart.
So actually, see, he is the son of Ganga, right? So demigoddess, right? She's a goddess. So he is her son. Plus, Ganga takes him for education under Brihaspati. And his military teacher was who? Anyone knows? Parshuram himself. Bhishma.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, Bhishma even had a fight with Parshuram for the whole episode of kidnapping of Ambalika and Ambika happened. After that, Amba goes and complains to Parshuram, and Parshuram says, "You marry her," and he says, "No, I have a vow of brahmacharya, I can't marry." Then he said, "Okay, fight." Then they fight actually, and even Parshuram cannot defeat him. He was both. They fought for many days. None of them were losing. So he is as powerful as Parshuram, and Parshuram is the one who actually killed so many Kshatriyas single-handedly just with an axe. Parshuram's strength is also unmatched, and Bhishma is his disciple, and he's equally powerful as Parshuram actually. Bhishma is just formidable, very formidable. So on one hand, Duryodhana is saying this, but our acharyas actually explain that this aparyaptam, if you see, it can mean two things. One is either it's insufficient or it is immeasurable. So he's such a diplomat that right now he's talking to whom?
Dronacharya.
So if it means aparyaptam, then he is indicating that okay, Bhishma has affection for Pandavas, so he will not give his best. So you are becoming more and more important. Dronacharya feels more important. But if it means immeasurable, like how Prabhupada translated, then Bhishma gets flattered, right? So either way, it's by carefully choosing the words, Duryodhana is trying to manipulate so many people actually. Yeah. So actually it is true that all the Pandavas were like, fig in the presence of Bhishma. Parikshit Maharaj, who is the grandson of Arjun, he actually says that my grandfather's leg were small fish in an ocean, whereas Bhishma was a huge Timingala fish. Timingala fish is a fish that can eat whales also. Such huge is that fish. So if Bhishma is compared to a Timingala, then these were all the five
Small
Pandavas
fish.
were like small fish actually. If we have to compare both sides, that's how it was actually. So,
And also, when the disrobing of the Draupadi happened, Prabhupada in the verse, in the purport, he says that Duryodhana know that Bhima is the only one who is going to kill him because he has taken a vow, right?
3 vows he took.
Yeah.
He took 3 vows.
One of them was to kill Duryodhana and basically rip
Break
apart
his
thigh
That was
and
the first
bring the blood.
blood of Dushasan for
Dushasan.
Draupadi. And third vow was he will personally kill all the 100 Kauravas. These were the 3 vows he took actually. That's why Duryodhana was
Very-
also afraid of him. At the same time, since they were rivals, he also was, he always wanted to speak less of him, less of Bhima. Text 11. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu
अयनेषु च सर्वेषु
yatha bhagam avastita
यथा भागम् अवस्थिता
bhishmevabhirakshantum
भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु
bhavantah sarva eva hi.
भवन्तः सर्व एव हि.
All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Duryodhana, after praising the prowess of Bhishma, further considered that others might think that they had been considered less important. So, in his usual diplomatic way, he tried to adjust the situation in the above words. He emphasized that Bhishmadev was undoubtedly the greatest hero, but he was an old man, so everyone must especially think of his protection from all sides. He might become engaged in the fight and the enemy might take advantage of his full engagement on one side. Therefore, it was important that other heroes do not leave their strategic positions and allow the enemy to break the phalanx. Duryodhana clearly felt that the victory of the Kurus depended on the presence of Bhishma Dev. He was confident of the full support of Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya in the battle because he knew well that they did not speak a word when Arjuna's wife Draupadi, in her helpless condition, had appealed to them for justice when she was being forced to appear naked in the presence of all the great generals in the assembly. Although he knew that the two generals had some sort of affection for the Pandavas, he hoped that these generals would now completely give it up, as they had done during the gambling performances.
So here Duryodhana is addressing Bhishma as the basically after he's not naming anyone else, and he's saying that all of you should be in your strategic position so that you can always safeguard and protect Bhishma. Why? Because Bhishma was their commander, and as Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that Bhishma always had some soft corners for Pandavas. What happens if something happens and something happens to Bhishma? Because if an army commander is lost, you are kind of on the verge of losing the battle. So that's where he is strategically saying that everyone should be protecting Bhishma Dev.
Text 12. Tasya sainyanya harsham
Tasya sainyam harsham
Kuru Vriddha Pitamaha
Kuru Vriddha Pritamaha
Sinhanadam Vinadyochai
Sinhanadam Vidonasya
Shankam Dadmau Pratapavan.
Shankam Dadanam Pratapavan.
Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. Purport: the grandsire of the Kuru dynasty could understand the inner meaning of the heart of his grandson Duryodhana, and out of his natural compassion for him, he tried to cheer him by blowing his conch shell very loudly, befitting his position as a lion. Indirectly, by the symbolism of the conch shell, he informed his depressed grandson Duryodhana that he had no chance of victory in the battle because the Supreme Lord Krishna was on the other side. But still, it was his duty to conduct the fight, and no pains would be spared in that connection.
When this discussion between Drona and Duryodhana was happening, everyone was listening, including Bhishma also. So that's where Duryodhana is talking diplomatically. He doesn't want to hurt any of them, either Bhishma Dev, either Drona. But Bhishma know that he is doing this pep talk kind of a thing. Just to give him a false joy, he blows his conch shell very loudly so that he can get some joy that yes, he is going to fight 100% on the behalf of Kauravas and not show any kind of leniency on the Pandavas. But also here Prabhupada is emphasizing that blowing of the conch shell is symbolizing something. What does it symbolize? Conch shell. Yeah, he blows like a lion. But
That victory, yeah.
victory.
Because now the blowing of the conch shell has officially marked the start of the battle. Now nobody goes back. Now the war must happen because he has blown, he has started it. And now if the war takes place, then Krishna's side would win. That Bhishma knows because he's a devotee. He knows that. And our acharyas also explain that, Bhishma had this chivalry rasa with Krishna. So we saw lots of 5 kinds of relationships, right, that Krishna and his devotees can have. They are the main kind of rasas. There are some secondary rasas, out of which that chivalry rasa is one. Like it's the fighting
Showing your
spirit.
fighting skills.
Fighting skills. So Bhishma had that kind of rasa with Krishna. So he wanted to hear Krishna also blow his conch shell. That's what the acharyas explained. And that's why he answers Duryodhana not by words but by blowing his conch shell, so that other side also blows their conch shell. So he wants to hear that Pandavas and Krishna also blow their conch shell.
So Bhishma starts the war of Bhishma.
Yeah, Bhishma is the first one to blow the conch shell. And actually, in those days, the musical instruments were very much part of war, because with the drums and the conch shells and the bugles and all, the kind of sound that they make, they actually stir up the blood of the soldiers. They get so much motivation, so much energy.
Pulsate them too.
They really do that. So, and Prabhupada also explains, by doing this, the louder you are, you actually demotivate the opposite army also. Yeah, that's also one of the purpose of so much. First of all, to encourage your own army, and the other to deflate other side's motivation.
So we'll see in the next verse itself, after Bhima blows this conch shell and roaring like a lion. Now the Kauravas are going to cheer it. The next verse is that actually.
Tata shankascha bhairyascha
Tatha shankasya bhiryascha
panavanka gomukha
panavanka gomukha
sahasaivaabhya hanyanta
sahasaivaabhya hanyanta
sashabdastumulo bhavat.
sashashabdastu mulo bhavat.
After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous.
So as he said, after the Bhishma blow the conch shell, now it was Kauravas army who started all the conch shell, the drums, bugles, and basically cheering their army
Showing
to
off their power.
showing off the power. As she said, the musical instruments also used to be the part of the warfare in the Vedic system, just to motivate or just to make sure that you get to that mood of fighting, and also based on how.
Not just in Vedic times, right? Even all the wars that we had, Mughal wars and all, before the coming of British, I think we still had these instruments, the drums and all were very much a part of army in the battles. At least in serials that I have watched, Tipu Sultan, this, that and all, these things were there, the tradition was still there actually.
So since there was a tumultuous blowing of conch, the musical instruments, the Pandavas were observing, right? Pandavas army. So they never felt trembled because Krishna is there on this side. Because this sound effects also makes, like if you can have a competition and then one is blowing very tumultuously, another not able to match it up, so they may feel discouraged. But Pandavas till now they are not discouraged, because till now the Pandavas have not started blowing their musical, or they have not started playing their musical instruments actually. So the next verse is, we will see how the Pandavas are going to do it.
Tatah shvetairhayaryukte
Tata shvetairhayaryukte
mahati syanandane stitau
mahati stande sitau
madhavah pandavaschaiva
Madhava Pandavaschaiva
divyau shankhau matuhu.
Divyau Shankau Pradau Madhu.
On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjun, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Purport. In contrast with the conch shell blown by Bhishma Dev, the conch shell in the hands of Krishna and Arjun are described as transcendental. The sounding of the transcendental conch shells indicated that there was no hope of victory for the other side, because Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas. Jayastu Panduputranam Yesham Pakshe Janardhanaha. Victory is always with the persons like the sons of Pandu, because Lord Krishna is associated with them. And whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there, because the goddess of fortune never lives alone without her husband. Therefore, victory and fortune are awaiting Arjuna, as indicated by the transcendental sound produced by the conch shell of Vishnu or Lord Krishna. Besides that, the chariot on which both the friends were seated had been donated by Agni, or the fire god, to Arjun, and this indicated that his chariot was capable of conquering all sides, wherever it was drawn over the three worlds.
So now this was the time when the Pandavas responded to basically boost their motivation of the army. When they did it, here they say that the conch shell that they blow is called as transcendental, because in the next verse they are going to name also the conch shell of the Krishna and Arjuna that they blow. So
What is transcendental? Does anyone remember?
It goes beyond the
Yeah. So why these conch shells are transcendental?
Yeah.
We are connected there. Krishna's
Krishna's.
paraphernalia. Not just Krishna's, even Arjuna's conch shell is also described as transcendental, right? So Arjuna is an associate of Krishna. So somebody who is fully surrendered to Krishna, they are also transcendental. They are same in quality with Krishna. They become. Like how, Prabhupada explained, like how an iron rod, if you keep it in fire for very long, it becomes as good as fire, right? Because it can also burn. That hot iron rod can also burn. In the same way, whoever is in touch with Krishna, in a positive way, in a surrendered and in a devotional mode, they also become like Krishna. So they are also considered transcendental, above the three modes of nature, and all the paraphernalia associated with them, everything is transcendental. So here, actually, here Krishna is addressed as Madhava, and we'll see in future each verse, Krishna will be addressed with a different name actually, and they have a significance, and they are very very context based. So here, why Sanjaya is addressing Krishna as Madhava is, as Prabhupada explains, Madhava, Ma means Lakshmi, and Dhava is husband, the husband of goddess of fortune. So where Krishna is there, goddess of fortune is also there. So all opulence, all prosperity, all victory will be always there. So he is indirectly hinting Dhritarashtra that
the
what is
Pandavas
going
are
to come.
Pandavas are going to retain their all the opulences.
And also here, Prabhupada mentions that Arjuna's chariot was donated to him by Agni actually. So not only chariot, his Gandiva bow, his quiver of arrows, everything. Arjuna received everything from some demigods. Actually, he had lots of celestial weapons. So he was not an ordinary fighter actually. He was himself very skilled, and all his weapons were also very, very powerful. Does anybody know how Arjuna received his chariot?
Yeah, actually there was some, I don't know the names, but there is wildfire, where they wanted to, Krishna and Arjuna both themselves, there was a serpent.
Takshaka.
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 So to defeat the Takshaka, they set fire to all the forest. During that time, actually, our goddess Agni
Agni.
Wanted
to
to.
fire. Then Krishna and Arjuna tried to help the Agni. Then after that, Arjuna gets the.
Arjuna helps Agni Dev.
Why they have to kill Arjuna in the first place?
So it's actually, it's a little more for that actually. So once Agnidev, his health gets spoiled because
Too much
somebody
of-
offered him too much ghee. Like Agni's job is to accept the offerings from the sacrifice. When we pour ghee and we offer lots of things in yagyas, we offer lots of things in fire, right? So Agni's job is to accept that and give it to Krishna. So basically, when he's on the receiving end. So some king offered too much of ghee, and as a result of that, I think he gets an indigestion. He gets indigestion or something. And there's a forest called Khandava forest where it had lots of medicinal herbs. And if he can devour that forest, his digestion would be restored. That was what his desire was. But
That
in
was
that
suggested
forest,
by Brahma.
yeah,
Lord Brahma suggested him
to go and
eat.
get the herbs from that forest. But in that forest lived a snake called Takshaka, who was a friend of Indra. Now, to protect Takshak, every time Agni used to set fire to that forest, Indra would pour rain and stop the fire, just to protect Takshak. So then one day Agni Dev comes and requests Arjuna and Krishna that, this is my position. I need these things from this forest. So Lord Brahma has approved of this plan, and in fact he suggested that because this forest is full of sinful living entities, it's okay. I mean, they deserve to be killed. This forest is completely infested with sinful creatures. So go ahead and devour it. So he said, so Lord Brahma has himself instructed, so he gave me free hand to do it, but Indra is coming in the way. So Arjuna said, okay, I will protect you from Indra, go ahead. And that's how he is able to devour the forest, and out of his gratitude, he gives the Gandiva bow and the chariot.
But Arjuna doesn't have any bow. So that's where Agni gives the bow to him, the Khandiva bow.
Yeah.
Actually, all the things prior to the god, every god has given him some
Yeah.
sadhana, so
Yeah.
to make him
Right.
able to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. While they were in Vanvas also, I think Arjuna, somebody revealed Arjuna a mantra using which he can ascend to heaven. And he did that, and there's a story, I don't know, these people read. Yeah, he got weapons from Indra, and then he fought with Shiva. There's a story where he fought with, like, Lord Shiva was just testing him, of course. So he pleased Lord Shiva in the battle, and then he got the Pashupata Astra and all. So he has lots of celestial weapons.
He was an archer, but he never had a bow before
I think so.
right? Because he was learning all the skills from Brahma.
Yeah.
He had all the astras, but he never had.
Right.
Even when Arjuna and Krishna were walking through the Khandava forest, when Agni comes for help, he doesn't have a bow. Then only he didn't have a bow. So that's where Agni Dev gives him the bow.
Text 15. Panchajanyam Rishikesho
Panchajanyam Rishikesho
Devadattam Dhananjayah
Devadattam Dhananjayah
Poundram Dadmau Mahashankham
Poundram Dadmam Mahashankham
Bhima Karma Vrakodaraha.
Bhima Karma Vrakodaraha.
Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjun blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. Purport. Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesha in this verse because he is the owner of all senses. The living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore the senses of the living entities are also part and parcel of his senses. So here Prabhupada gives an example of part and parcel is like being a finger being a part and parcel of your body. So the finger should work for the pleasure of the body. It must cooperate, right? So in the same way, Rishikesha, the significance is that he is the master of senses. So senses are actually servants of Krishna. They should be servants of Krishna, not servants of our own self. That's the message Prabhupada is trying to give here.
Here Sanjay is choosing appropriate names of Krishna as well as Arjuna also. We'll see why he is using as Dhananjaya also.
I have a question. This just hit my head. Is there any reference or an inherent meaning to the count of Pandavas
So I don't know. So there is a commentary by some impersonalist which actually gives like this. And Prabhupada has rejected it right away. He said, we don't want such speculation, basically. He did not approve of it, actually.
So the very first verse where there is a Pandava word, one of the impersonalists translate. There are many versions of translation on commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Impersonalists, they compare the Pandavas with five senses. They even deny that there is a Kurukshetra. They say Kurukshetra is nothing, your body, your own body. That we all know that in the introduction.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So he didn't encourage that, actually. He didn't accept it. The impersonalists cannot account for the senses of the living entities, and therefore they are always anxious to describe all living entities as senseless or impersonal. The Lord, situated in the hearts of all living entities, directs their senses. So this is the real meaning of Rishikesha. But he directs in terms of the surrender of the living entity, and in case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. Here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name of Rishikesha. Sanjay is using the very apt name of Krishna for each verse, actually. So here Arjuna is allowing himself to be guided by Krishna, completely guided by Krishna. That's why Sanjay is calling Krishna as Rishikesha. The Lord has different names according to his different activities. For example, his name is Madhusudan because he killed the demon of the name Madhu. His name is Govinda because he gives pleasure to the cows and to the senses. His name is Vasudeva because he appeared as the son of Vasudeva. His name is Devaki Nandan because he accepted Devaki as his mother. His name is Yashodanandan because he awarded his childhood pastimes to Yashoda at Vrindavan. His name is Parthasarathi because he worked as the charioteer of his friend Arjuna. Similarly, his name is Rishikesh because he gave direction to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna is referred to as Dhananjay in this verse because he helped his elder brother in fetching wealth when it was required by the king to make expenditure for different sacrifices. Does anybody know this thing?
Yeah, actually he does.
Rajasuya.
Yudhishthir. Yeah.
In this way, then when he sends all the direction in
Four Pandavas.
at that time, every king, whenever they go, the kings of that area should surrender or
Yes.
they should fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Then in that course, he earned all the prosperity.
Yeah. So Yudhishthir was doing a Rajasuya sacrifice. So that is to basically establish. At that time, it was all monarchy. The whole planet was ruled by a single ruler, and all the small kings of all the provinces, they are expected to cooperate. So that's how even Ashwamedh Yagya is also more or less on the same lines. So they go around. So if there is any king who usually everybody accepts because he's the monarch, and these are all like, under president you have lots of governors of states like that.
Even actually when they go, the other kings who surrender will give some help.
Yeah.
Yes.
They will also
That
do.
way,
It's like taxes kind of.
Right. So for that, that Rajasuya sacrifice will establish Yudhishthir as the emperor of the whole world. So for that sacrifice, lots of wealth was needed. So he sent his four brothers in four directions. So Arjuna went north, and he was revealed, somebody revealed to him that at this place there is lot of gold. There was a king again who was in possession of a gold mine, so he had lots of things made of gold, so much gold. And he used to give lots of charity to the Brahmanas, lots of gold. But the Brahmanas at that time, they were so pious and so simple that they didn't want wealth. They had excess wealth and they didn't want it because it's a distraction for their spiritual life. At that time, Brahmanas were like that. So they all dumped it in a place because they just didn't want it. And Prabhupada explains in those days, in that province or whatever, There was so much wealth that, like how we use paper plates these days, use and throw, golden plates were used to be like that. They will eat and throw, never they will use the same plate again. There was so much wealth in that thing. So there was a place where Brahmanas had dumped excess gold. So that's where Arjuna goes and gets everything for the sacrifice. So that's why from that day onwards his name is Conqueror of Wealth or Dhananjaya. Similarly, Bhima is known as Vrakodara because he could eat as voraciously as he could perform Herculean tasks, such as killing the demon Hidimba. So Bhima also, he had a unsatiable fire in his stomach. He could eat unlimitedly. And not just that, I mean, according to the input, his output was also Herculean. He could do superhuman things. In spite of being in a human body, he killed so many demons actually. Bakasura and Hidimba here. So the particular types of conch shell blown by different personalities on the side of the Pandavas, beginning with the lords, were all very encouraging to the fighting soldiers. On the other side, there were no such credits, nor the presence of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Director, nor that of the goddess of fortune. So they were all predestined to lose the battle. And that was the message announced by the sounds of the conch shells.
So here, now when the conch shells were blown on both sides, there were no naming of the conch shells on the Kauravas side because they didn't had any kind of a famous or a transcendental conch shells. Like here they are naming Panchajanyam, Devadattam, and they are going to name further in the next verses. So Kauravas didn't had any such transcendental. That's another sign saying that the victory of the Pandavas is for sure and Kauravas are not going to win it. And as she said here, Sanjaya chooses the word Rishikesh to name Krishna to make sure, just purposely making sure that Arjuna is fully surrendered to Krishna and Krishna is going to lead him to the victory. So, and also some of the acharyas here interpret in a way that the verse starts with Panchajanyam, where it signifies Pancha means 5. So it's also giving another indication that the victory of Pandavas is imminent. So that Pandavas are going to win the battle. Any questions? We are going very fast. I think the other name of Madhu also means honey also.
It happened to be the name of a demon also.
Actually, Bhima, whenever when farmers go for the picture, then they bring the food. Half of the food was given to Bhima, and the rest was given to
Right.
Other six people.
Even in the killing of the Bakasura, you know that story, right? When they were living in an exile, so they used to live in
Not exile, I think. When they escaped from the
forest, the fire.
Yeah.
So they were living in the house of a Brahman. That was the custom in the village that one person has to take the food, and so Bhima was very happy because he thought that he will have an opportunity.
Cartload of food.
Food he will eat.
Cart of food.
and when running, right, everyone was tired. Bhima used to carry all the brothers
As well as mother.
and
Right, yeah.
so he's so powerful.
He's so powerful. Next. Ananta Vijayam Raja.
Ananta Vijayam Raja.
Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha.
Kunti Putro Yudhishtharaha.
Nakulah Sahadevascha.
Nakula Sahadevascha.
Sughosha Mani Pushpakau.
Sughosho Manipushpakao
Kashyascha Parameshvasah
Kasyascha Parameshvashaha
Shikhandi cha Maharatha
Shikhandi cha Maharatha
Drishtadyumno Viratascha
Drishtadumnyo cha Viracha
Satyakischa Parajitah
Satyakischa Parajitaha
Drupadau Draupadeyascha
Drupado Draupadescha
Sarvashah Prithvipate
Sarvasha Prithivitipade
Saubhadrascha Mahabahu
Saubhadrascha Mahabaho
Shankhan Dharmo Prithak Prithak
Shankanda Prithak
King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sughosha and Manipushpak. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. Purport. Sanjay informed King Dhritarashtra very tactfully that his unwise policy of deceiving the sons of Pandu and endeavoring to enthrone his own sons on the seat of the kingdom was not very laudable. The signs already clearly indicated that the whole Kuru dynasty will be killed in the great battle, beginning with the grandsire Bhishma down to the grandsons like Abhimanyu and others, including kings from many states of the world. All were present there and all were doomed. The whole catastrophe was due to King Dhritarashtra because he encouraged the policy followed by his sons.
So now the other Pandavas are also blowing their conch shells. And again, what Prabhupada is emphasizing that the victory of the Pandavas is something which is certain. And again, he is bringing the point again that what did Dhritarashtra did is unwise. That he didn't enthrone the Pandavas in the kingdom.
So here, so it's also, if you see, whosoever conscious names are mentioned, only those people survived the battle. Yeah. Do you know how many survived after the battle of Mahabharata? Only Pandavas.
Yeah.
Ashwatthama, yes.
This is
Satyaki, the unconquerable Satyaki. 5 Pandavas, Satyaki. These were the only people who survived. Everyone else was killed actually. Everybody was killed.
Pandava's son was killed by Ashwatthama while they were sleeping.
While they were asleep, we killed, yeah. Everybody, anyone on, no one on the both sides. Only Satyaki and the 5 Pandavas. These were the only ones in the war. Only they. Parikshit was in the womb that time. So here, again, why Sanjay is taking the names of all these, right? Shikhandi. Why did Shikhandi took that form actually? She is Amba. She took the form of Shikhandi only to destroy Bhishma. So Bhishma, the whole Kaurava army was resting on Bhishma only. I mean, if Bhishma fell, there is no other who can protect them.
She couldn't kill him.
No, actually Amba, so Bhishma kidnaps Amba, Ambika, Ambalika for his, so at that time Kshatriyas, this was a kind of a sport, like how they used to have Swayamvara, right? So princes would also kidnap princesses, so it was a sport, it was allowed for Kshatriyas. So he captures these 3 princesses for his, so he can't marry, he took a vow of celibacy. So for his brother, he kidnaps these 3. Yeah. He kidnaps for his brother, yes. So but Amba secretly loved Shalya. Shalya or Shalva?
Shalva.
Shalva. So she refused to marry Vichitravirya, right?
Mm.
So Ambika and Ambalika married Vichitravirya, but Amba said, no, I have given my heart to somebody else, I cannot marry you. So Bhishma takes her to Shalva. Now Shalva says, you have been touched by somebody else, I cannot marry you. So Amba comes back and she says, now I have nowhere to go. You marry me. And he says, no, I have taken a vow of celibacy, I cannot marry you. Then Amba becomes really furious, and then she takes revenge basically. She gives up her body in that life, and she does austerities so that in the next life she can destroy Vishnu. Then she is born to Drupada. She's a sister of Draupadi actually. I think she's born as a daughter, but later she becomes a man, something like that.
And this is when Drupada performs sacrifice to take revenge from Dronacharya after.
Then he gets Drishtadyumna. So in his single family, 2 warriors are there who are going to kill Drona and Bhishma, the 2 pillars of that army actually.
Drupadas.
I mean, it's well known that they are going to do that, right? And it's well known Bhima took a vow to kill, right? So like there are lots of indications already.
Even Draupadi, see, a whole war Draupadi is the cause for everything, right? And she has in a previous life, she has been, has that she is going to be the primary cause of killing so many Kshatriyas. And she will be the cause.
Yeah, if you see the whole family in Draupadi, Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
In the last class, there was a question. Here, there is a reference for Vyasadeva. Okay. Before marrying Satyavati, marrying Shantanu, when she was not married, Vyasadeva is son of Parasar Muni. And it was very eminent that Vyasadeva's appearance it's the time for his birth has already come. So that time, Parasar Muni approaches Satyavati that I want you to be an agent for the delivering Vyasadeva. Though you are going to deliver maybe your virginity or you are still going to be maintained.
Just like how Kunti got Karna, right? Kunti got Karna, but still she was considered. Yeah. So these sages, they can just produce kids by mantras, right? They don't have to physically unite with a woman to do that. So that's how Vyasadeva was born. Actually, Satyavati was a fisher woman. So she helps Parashar Muni cross the river. So Parashar Muni is pleased by her service, and he says, he produces a son from her actually. That's how Vyasadeva is actually the half brother of Bhishma and Vichitravirya. So once Vichitravirya dies and Bhishma is a bachelor, so there is no progeny, right? Then Satyavati requests Vyasadeva that you both meet Amba and Ambalika. Again, he also does impregnate them using mantras only. So yeah.
And when Vyasadeva approaches Ambika, she's so feared that she closes her eyes and Dhritarashtra is born blind. And when it's turned for Ambalika, she's so pale and weak that Pandu is born as a weak child. Dasi is the Vidura.
Is there any place where we can go each character, what are they, to know about more about the characters?
Mahabharata we can read.
With Wikipedia, we don't know how bona fide it is actually. So,
There's a lot of information on the internet which is not correct.
But there are so many you cannot trust.
Yeah.
It's not just Kuru family, right? It's both.
both Pandavas and Kauravas. This is a Kuru dynasty. See, this is Kauravas. this portion, starting from
Actually, everybody is Kaurava only.
here is what we mentioned, and here is the 5 Pandavas. But everybody is from Kaurava.
The Dhritarashtra. Separated.
Yeah. We'll read one more verse.
Yeah.
The very first, yeah. See, when we read the very first verse, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyusava Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. There, Dhritarashtra is distinguishing his sons from Pandavas, though they were from the same family. Right? So that's where the differentiation starts, because he is differentiating at a bodily concept level actually. And also he's going to be very mean, right? That he doesn't want to share any kingdom with the Pandavas, though they were also rightful heirs to take that kingdom, because Pandu used to be the king, right? And
Saghoshodhatra Rashtrana
Saghoshodhashtarathanam
Hridayani Vyadarayat
Hridayani Vridaya
Nabhascha Prithivim Chaiva
Nabhascha Prithivim Chaiva
Tumulobhya Nunadayan.
Tumalobhimanunadhyam.
The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. But when Bhishma and the others on the side of Duryodhan blew their respective conch shells, there was no heartbreaking on the part of Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned but in this particular verse, it is mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas' party. This is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity.
So again, if you see from the sequence of the verses, how is it going now? Duryodhana has a description of the Pandavas' army, then Kauravas' army, then Bhishma started to board the conch shell. And after that, there was a huge tumultuous sound from all the playing of all the drums, kettles, conch shell. Now Pandavas started playing with Krishna. But when they played, what happened?
It said that when Pandavas blowed, all the 3 worlds were filled with the vibrations of the things. That thing didn't happen with the Kauravas because they had
Transcendental conch.
Yeah. So that really, their conch shell blowing really served the purpose to demotivate the enemy's army. So they achieved their purpose.
Also here what Prabhupada is highlighting here is that since Pandavas were not shattered because they had Krishna with them actually. So even in our day-to-day life, even if you become a devotee, it doesn't mean that there will be not challenges in your life. It will be. But as long as we have a confidence that Krishna is with us, and how we can ensure that Krishna is with us is performing our devotional practice, what we do like chanting, reading, hearing. As long as we feel that Krishna is that, there will be no fear in whatever phase of life you are in. Whether you are happy, whether you are distressed, whether you have difficulty, whether you are well settled, keep Krishna always with you. And that's what was the situation for Pandavas. They were about to fight the greatest battle, right? It's the great world war that world has ever seen actually, where 64,000 people died. Crores, sorry. But still Pandavas were very confident that Krishna is going to, since Krishna is there with them, they don't have to fear anything. And when they blow the conch shell, when Pandavas started blowing the conch shell, the Kauravas' heart was shattered because they didn't have Krishna, and they will feel that fear actually.
अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा
अथ विष्टितान् दृष्ट्वा
धात्रराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः
धाष्टरात्मान् कपिध्वजः
प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते
प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते
धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवा
धनुरुद्यम पाण्डवा
ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम्
ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम्
इदमाह महीपते.
इदमाहमहीपते.
At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Purport: the battle was just about to begin. It is understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military forces by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instructions of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram in the battle between Ram and Ravan, and Lord Ram emerged victorious. Now both Ram and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Ram himself, and wherever Lord Ram is, his eternal servitor Hanuman and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore, Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. Thus, all good counsel was available to Arjuna in the matter of executing the battle. In such auspicious conditions, arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee, lay the signs of assured victory.
So now this is the last verse spoken by who is speaking till now? Sanjaya, and he is giving that description to Dhritarashtra. From the next verse onwards, Arjuna's question is going to start, but he is now getting ready to fight. But again here, Sanjaya is giving all the signs that Pandavas have for the victory. We already saw the presence of Krishna or the blowing of all the transcendental conch shells. Now he is adding it further, that Arjuna's chariot had the flag of Hanuman. And here Prabhupada is saying that along with Hanuman, Ram is also present. Who is present with Krishna? Krishna, Arjuna, Krishna. Krishna is none other Ram. So all the signs are indicating that. And Prabhupada is also explaining that when Hanuman was there with Rama, the Ravana was killed, or evil forces were killed, and they emerged victorious. This is another indication that the victory of Pandavas or Arjuna is sure.
Does anybody know how Hanuman came on the flag?
Yeah, I think it is
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So Draupadi asked for a 1,000-petal lotus. There was a 1,000-petal lotus in
Deep in the forest.
some place in the mountains. I don't know. So she desires to have that lotus. So Bhim agrees, and he's going and he's running very fast. And since he's so powerful, the ground is shaking with his footsteps. Whatever comes in his way, he's uprooting the trees or all those things, and he's causing so much loud noise. And so while he was going, on his way was a old monkey with his tail lying across the path. So Bhim actually, he doesn't want to cross over the monkey, because in our tradition we don't cross over anybody. Right?
The living.
Yeah. You should not cross over anybody. Why?
Who is
in everybody's heart. So when we cross over people, it's like we are offending the Paramatma in the heart of that living entity. So not just humans, for anybody also, no animal also, no living thing we should cross over. Try not to. Well, of course, insect swarms we cannot help, but consciously we should not try to do that. So Bhima requests to the monkey to remove the tail. And then they have some conversation. Monkey tries to say, oh, you are a young man, I am a very old, this thing, why don't you just cross over? He is also kind of testing. Then Bhima says, no, I can't cross over, why don't you just move, I have to go. And he says, I am an old monkey, why can't you lift my tail, I am so weak, I can't move, you seem to be very powerful and all. So Bhima tries to lift and the tail won't budge at all. Bhima is so powerful. In fact, Bhima also boasts, I am the monkey asks, who are you? And he says, I am the unconquerable Bhima and this and that. He was very proud. Then he tries to move the tail, it doesn't move. Tries with all his might, not even an inch. Then he realizes that this is not an ordinary monkey. Then he offers his respects and asks the monkey to reveal himself. And that's actually Hanuman. And then Hanuman and Bhima, they both are sons of Vayu, right? So they are brothers. And then that time Hanuman actually says, I will be with you in the war. I mean, they know that a war is impending, is going to happen. He says, I will participate in the war in the form of, on the top of Arjuna's chariot, on the flag. And what will be his contribution? When the Pandava side roar, Hanuman will also roar so loudly, it will magnify so much that it will again break the
hearts
of the enemy. It happens, right? Like two parties, even in sports it happens. One party gets lots of cheers, other party feels demotivated, right? Same thing. So Hanuman, that was what Hanuman's role would be in Mahabharata. And our acharyas also explained that how Arjuna is also taking shelter of Hanuman. Since Hanuman has cooperated, he was completely aligned with the will of Lord Ram. Similarly, Arjuna also wants the same thing. He wants to do the same thing for Krishna. That's why he is seeking blessings from Hanuman. When Prabhupada explains, that's how Vaishnava's consciousness should be. He should always take shelter of the previous Acharya so that we can do our service to Krishna properly. That's exactly what Arjuna's consciousness was also at that time. He wants to do the same thing that Hanuman did for Ram.
Arjuna wants to say anything to Krishna?
Yeah. No, no doubt he is a great devotee, but still he is looking for mercy from Hanuman. Because Hanuman also served Lord Ram. So, same thing Arjuna also wants to do. And that's why he is asking for his blessing. What you did for Lord Ram, I want to do the same thing for Lord Krishna.
So here is a quick reference for all the names. Some of the names we have already came across, some of them we will come over in the next subsequent verses. So Krishna, we know, all attractive. Rishikesha, we just now read, he is the master of all the senses. And how Sanjay is appropriately using the Rishikesha to make sure that Arjuna is led by Krishna to victory. Why? Because he is a surrendered soul to Krishna. Madhava, we read that, husband of goddess of fortune. This is yet to come, Achyuta. Will come in the subsequent verses where it says infallible one. Is that one who can never be? Never falls from his. Yeah. Madhusudana saw the killer of the demon Madhu. Govinda starts with the word go. Go means cow or Brahmana or senses. That is also true. So one who gives pleasure to our own senses or cows or Brahmana. No, go means not Brahmana. So go means only cows and senses. Cows and senses. Vasudev, son of Vasudev, Devaki Nandan, son of Devaki, Yashoda Nandan. These all words are yet to come. We saw Keshava is yet to come. Dhananjaya, we saw that, conqueror of wealth. And then Partha anyway is going to come, son of Prithar Kunti Devi. Gudakesha is yet to come, and Drikodara. Gudakesha is one who conquers sleep. It said that Arjuna can stay without sleeping for many days. What will be our state even if you don't sleep one day actually? And we already saw Vrikodara, one who is a ferocious eater and perform Herculean task. Okay, so we will end here. So we will start from next chapter. Verse is all about is now Arjuna is going to express his inability to fight and start answer or question answer start questioning what all doubts he has.
Start questioning why we should fight.
Yeah.
So the conversation will be pretty much between Arjuna and Krishna.
This is the first chapter is Arjuna is only going to express his doubts. Krishna is not even going to talk till the second,
Second chapter.
11th verse.
Second chapter, 11th verse.
I think second chapter 11th verse is what when is Krishna is going to first speak even. Yeah,
Until then, it's all.
it's all Arjuna's questions.
Yeah.
Arjuna and Sanjay is going to have some little bit of description in the second chapter. Okay, any other questions?
These names, it's hard to remember all the names at once, like, the full family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it will be
Yeah, we also forget. So.
I just get the big picture. I was trying to now the word is
Did anybody write any Mahabharata? Gopi? Yeah?
Krishna Dharma Prabhu liya hai, Purva Prajna Prabhu.
There are some versions of Bhagavad
They
Gita
are in the gift shop.
in the gift shop also or the
Krishna
library.
Dharma Prabhu.
Mahabharata. I'm just saying, bona fide. See, there again, as we see in Bhagavad Gita, there are various commentators. So similarly, Mahabharata also have various commentators. Even Ramayana has got many versions, like Valmiki Ramayana, this Ramayana. So not everyone is bona fide or author. What does it mean is that they may not present all the information rightly. And from a Vaishnava standpoint, like you have to bring the supreme personality of Godhead concept very prominently. Some people will don't even talk about Krishna. Like many commentators who have written Bhagavad Gita, commentary on Bhagavad Gita, they don't even highlight that point that Krishna is the supreme, and the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to surrender to Krishna. That's what Arjuna did. Everybody will talk about other aspects of it. Leaving these two parts, they will talk all other things. Like somebody will say, when Pandavas means it's your five senses, control your senses by meditation. Because Krishna talks Karma Yoga, he talks about Bhakti Yoga in the middle and Jnana Yoga. They will bring out all other sections, leaving the main gist. So I think that's what I was. There are a few versions of Mahabharata available written by in the disciplic succession. So some of the copies are available. If somebody wants to read about the history of Mahabharata, you can get it from the gift shop. Okay, so we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.